Welcome back, part 5 of the skills we all need in an AI world. So we've identified modern humans aren't developing well. We've identified all the different components that go to help support motor sensory integration and what motor sensory integration is, and now want to look in a bit of detail at sound and motor skills and how they interrelate. So sound processing is the brain making sense of sounds around you. So being able to block out background noises and hear the speech of somebody you're interested in, being able to follow sound when it moves, if a person is moving and still speaking to you, being able to tell whether speech is nice or friendly or funny, being able to just really enjoy language and speak confidently and not have a delay on sound processing. Sound is complex. It starts when we're inside the womb. It's already working by the time we're 20 weeks in vitro, and we're hearing our mother's heart rate, we're hearing her speech. We are tuning already to the world, even if we're hearing it through the fluid in our amniotic sac. We are getting ready for the world. When we're born, sound is our first sense, and it triggers a lot of other senses. If we have had a difficult birth, it may also block the development of other senses if it's not working well. Or likewise, infections in the inner ear in the early years can affect the efficiency of our sound system. And illnesses later on, COVID and so on, affect how well the inner ear works. But you can get it all working again with sound therapies, because it's the tiny muscles in the inner ear need to be developed and stimulated, and that gets the rest of the system working. Left and right ear need to work together. They're doing a lot of physics. And ideally, most humans need to be right ear dominant, and the speech goes to the left hemisphere. That is the quickest way to communicate. When a person is left ear dominant when they should be right ear, it creates a delay on the sound processing. Children don't go over to right ear dominant until 6. So think about that in terms of teaching in a classroom. If you've got a delay on sound processing and so on, really they're not going to be very efficient learners until 6, 7 years old. They can't process the sounds of the teacher against the background noises in the classroom very efficiently. So we've got left and right brain working, and right ear goes to left brain, left ear goes to right brain. And then across the corpus callosum, they're going to be communicating. A lot of physics is happening. And then we've got an inner ear, and you need to understand what's happening with the inner ear, because it's like a junction box, and that's why it's the first myelinated sense. Your inner ear is behind your ear, and the inner ear is buried in the skull. So like a snail, it's gone into the skull when you were in vitro. And as the skull hardens, you develop bone conduction of sound, which is why your whole posture affects sound. And that inner ear is connected to your motor skills, your sense of balance, your sense of orientation through the semicircular canals. You know whether you're accelerating or decelerating. Your inner ear is calculating that and making sense of it and sending messages to the brain. Your inner ear is connected to your optic nerve. So the inner ear is communicating that you see to hear and hear to see. The two work together, and we can see when there's problems with sound processing, when we see disruption on eye movements when a person's reading for meaning. Your inner ear is connected to your facial muscles, so it's really important for social engagement. You see someone coming, and your inner ear is bringing together sound, vision, and your facial muscles to make sense. Is that person friendly? Are they a threat? really important skill in our complex societies. And also in the inner ear is the cochlea that does all aspects of sound and takes you through all the different levels of pitch. As we get older, the hairs in the cochlea can get worn down, but again, we can maintain them in terms of just keeping auditory health going if we do a bit of sound therapy. And all of that is magnified through the tiny, tiny muscles in the inner ear and through the tympanic membrane. So we've got sound coming through air, we've got sound coming through bone. The two systems need to work together. We don't just need to be able to hear, we've got to make sense of sound, and that is complex. And it is our first sense. Motor skills, left and right motor skills need to work together, and we need to be able to go over our midline without any overflow around our jaw or our eyes. So when there's a problem going across our midline on our motor skills, you can see it in jaw movements. And that can damage the cranial nerves. That can damage the sound processing, because linked to our inner ear are many nerves. So our inner and middle and outer ear have many cranial nerves that have developed since we were conceived and that are linked to our whole body. If we have got problems integrating left and right in our motor skills, we get what's called overflow, and that compromises our cranial nerves. That can compromise them. We're just putting too much pressure, and that can cause things like Tourette's, tinnitus, migraines, because we're putting huge pressure on the cranial nerves. So sound and motor skills are very connected, and if we're putting that sort of pressure on the cranial nerves, it can make our performance very unpredictable. Postural control is also connected to our inner ear because of our semicircular canals, so our orientation will be more upright if our inner ear works. That is connected to our cranial nerve 10, which is our nervous system, and it links the whole body through the spine and through cranial nerve 10 to everything else. It's a really important thing because if we hear something very dangerous and we need to flee quickly, we move very fast, faster than our conscious brain. But it also means if we're very nervous, we're tightening up and compromising our health throughout our body. So it's really important we get good posture, good breathing, everything works together to keep the body calm. Really important for mental health. Very basic things, and we're not looking at them. So sound and motor skills and mental health are all utterly knit together. It also affects our ability to be smart. So we need to get them all working well together. And that's our first foundation. And we need those all in place, ideally by 6 or 7, but we can fix it at any stage in life. Thank you for listening.